sexy peeps. I am Dakian. We're on day 29 of the May Painting Challenge for 2015. And what are you looking at? Well, you're looking at my side projects right now. This is another bunch of Bones minis that I have simply primed and pre-shaded. A bunch of beasts of various kinds, as you will see. Most of these will probably go by pretty quickly because they're just fur, just a few coats of paint, and that's all it takes. These rats might be a little more complex because they have these little sort of boils or pustules or whatever, and the tails should be a different color, you know, so a couple of colors. Anyway, I also completed a few Bones minis. I think I've shown you this guy mostly done before. Let's see if he focuses. I have no idea. And he's complete. Here we have, oops, little crawling bug with a slight sheen to its shell there, and we have a flying bug. I just sort of slapped some random colors on there and just kept working at it until I was happy, you know, something that sort of looked reasonable. Oh well. Anyway, putting all of this aside, and I mean literally just pushing it off to one side here so it doesn't clog up the camera. Let's look at one of my main minis that I'm working on. I'm working on Lawrence here. I put down a base coat on his jacket of London Grey. I'm thinking of highlighting up with light gray after I think I'm going to pick out some details like the creases with this gray liner first from Reaper, and then go back in with the London Grey where I go over too much. And well, let's take a moment to do that, and I'll be right back. All right, we have lined the coat and rebased it. I also went in and painted the hatband a really dark gray color. I decided that since most of this guy is going to be very light, I'm going to do the band dark to match the tie. By the way, I did take on board the comment one of my viewers had about maybe sculpting in a press card. That's a really good idea. However, I feel it's a bit late in the game to do it for this guy. But I'll remember that for any future reporters I might paint up. Well, let's go in and mix up the first highlight color. I'm going to go pretty subtle here, but so you're not going to see a huge jump. As I said, I'm mixing in a bit of light gray into the London Grey. While I'm applying the first coat, I could perhaps talk about the question of the day. What's the question of the day? 29. It's been a bumpy road full of ups and downs. Tell us, what was the hardest part of the May Painting Challenge for you? How did you get past it? Well, that's something I can think about for a while. Let's see. Let me just pick up some paint here and take a look at what happens if I put this on here. It looks pretty good. The hardest part. Well, there were several hard parts. To begin with, the whole concept of finding the time to record and upload a video each day. That was pretty tough. But once I got into the hang of it, it got easier. So, you know, it started out really difficult, but it improved. How did I get past it? Well, the way I get past everything that needs to be learned, by determination. Just simply telling myself this has to be done. And also because I found it in the long run pretty rewarding, actually. You might be surprised to hear this, but I kind of like talking to people and explaining things. It's my job after all. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I'm a teacher in real life. So yeah, it wasn't that difficult once I got past the initial hurdle. I'm actually kind of anticipating that when this is over, I'm going to find it difficult to go back to not making a video every day. How am I going to motivate myself to paint if I don't have to upload a video? That's kind of a side effect, and I don't think people want to watch a video from me every day. I don't think I can keep up the pace, to be honest. Another hard thing is that it took place in May. Now I understand that July is possibly the not best time of the year for everybody, but to be honest, it would have been better for me. I would have gotten a lot more done if this had been in July, because July is in, during the school summer vacation. So I'm going to have a lot more free time in July. But then I realized not everybody works in schools, and even some of the people who are free from work in July might want to go away on vacation or something. And so they wouldn't have time to paint as much. I'm not sure if that was the thinking behind changing the date this year. I don't recall. I think Warboss mentioned in one of his earlier videos why the month was changed, but I don't remember actually the reasoning. Perhaps somebody can remind me. But yeah, I think I have been inspired to keep making videos. They just won't be every single day. I mean, I'm thinking of it like trying to make a vlog like once a week at least, talking about what I've gotten done as far as painting goes. And I think I'm about done with this first highlight. You know, it's looking reasonable. As I warned you, it's looking really subtle. But that's the way I want it. When we have relatively smooth clothing like this, you can't go too outlandish. I don't know that I'm going to put on that many more highlights. I mean, the next highlight I have mixed up is like almost at the light gray. Well, it's almost just pure light gray. Let me just put some of that here on the shoulders, and you'll see that it's really light compared to what we had before. Now it's gonna look a bit less bright once it's dried, but still Oh, sorry for falling silent here. I'm focusing so heavily on what I'm doing. I think I'm gonna have to blend that out a little bit. Pick up the previous highlight and go in and smooth out the transitions here. This is the kind of work where I can get really focused and completely forget the world around me. So Perhaps it's not the sort of thing I should be doing on camera, where you might expect me to talk and explain myself and, you know, understand what I'm doing. So I'm gonna cut to the end, and we will see what sort of highlights I get up to. And the jacket is done. I only did a couple more highlights. I went up to pure light gray, and then for most of the top highlights, and then I did a very, very slight highlight where I added in some white to the light gray, and that was just edging like the edges of the collar here, and like a dot on the each shoulder, and like the tip here, just the very corners and sharpest and highest edges of things. Oops. Now I was trying to improve it and I didn't, so I'm gonna fix that by putting in some light gray. Oh well, there we are. All that's left on this guy is the equipment, the camera, and this thing. But I think I'll do all of the equipment, like the camera and the guns and the flashlights, at the very end, once I finish the clothing on everybody. So, a fairly realistic looking guy, this. It's all I'm going to get done today, because today's a Friday. I'm doing this in the evening after work. Tomorrow, Saturday, I'll have most of the day free, actually, for painting. So I expect that I'll be able to complete both of these guys. Yeah. Well, complete at least the clothing. That's the plan for tomorrow, is to complete his trench coat, his coat and scarf, and the belt for the coat here, and yeah, and finish up the hat bands, whatever I decide with those. Well, so day 29 is at an end. I'll leave you with a final image. That's kind of dark. That's better. Of Lawrence here. Thank you, and good night from Doc Eon.